everybody, and welcome to Vinyl Treasures. I'm your host, Johnny G. John Galindo, coming to you live each and every Saturday only here on Top Shelf Oldies. I want to welcome you to the June 16th, 2018 Vinyl Treasure Show. John G, a couple minutes late, but you know how it is. Glad you can join me for the next 2 hours. Got some cool 45s, original vinyl out of my collection. We opened up tonight's show on Vivian Carter's VJ record label. Saxophonist Cecil James McNeely, a.k.a. Mr. Big J McNeely, and a song that he wrote. It's called Jay's Rock from September 1956. One of the originators of that wild, acrobatic, honking sax style, and he recorded on many different labels through the years: Aladdin, Bayou, Federal, Savoy, and Swinging. But this was the B-side to a vocal of 45 by the Delegates. It was called The Convention. It was a song that I really don't care that much for, but I like the instrumental better. But it was inspired by the presidential campaign of 1956. But if you flip it over, you get that cool instrumental on VJ. It's called Jay's Rock by Big J McNeely, September 1956. Well, enough of my babbling here. Let's open up the vocal portion with a group you all know out of Brooklyn, New York. They are still singing today. First came on the scene back in 1956 as the DuPonts, continued into the 1970s as Anthony and the Imperials. Their debut single came out on Paul Winley's Winley label, a song called You, backed with Must Be Falling in Love, but that record went nowhere in 1956. But Paul Winley, he sold the masters to Herman Lubinsky. He owned Savoy Records, and in 1958, Little Anthony and the Imperials had their biggest hit, or at least their first major hit on end. It was called Tears on My Pillow, but Lubinsky decided to re-release that DuPont's 45 and their first single, and it came out as Little Anthony Guardine and the DuPonts, trying to ride the coattails of that hit on end. And he also spelled his name wrong. He spelled it Guardin. He's supposed to be Gourdin. Anyway, it didn't work for him, but it's still a great tune, and it's got added instrumentation. I'm going to compare the original here, but let's give it a spin here. October 1958, the DuPonts on Savoy with Must Be Falling in Love.
Boom, 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 boom. Chomp me, those birds will treat me. Oh, what happened to me? Chomp me, I must be falling love. Come on, you guys and gals, gather round. I'm gonna tell you what I found. I found that I'm falling in love. Is there a doctor in the house? Or is it the fire? Every time I look at her, my head goes spinning around. Oh, my friend, don't you know that I must be falling in doctor in the house, or is it the loud? Every time I look at her, my head goes spinning around. Don't you know that I must be falling in
As Johnny G gets caught here, as I'm putting the other 45 here on the turntable. Anyway, that is Little Anthony Guardine and the DuPonts there, the re-release of the B-side of their first record, Must Be Falling in Love, Herman Lubinsky, Savoy Records for that one. Now, Savoy added more instruments to that original master and edited too. They cut it short and they cut off the ending of the record. But I'm going to give you a spin of what the original sounded like. You can hear the difference. There is a marked difference in the sounds of this record here. So let me put the original Winley on here and let's play a little bit of the Winley. And this is how it first came out before they added the added instruments here. So let's give this one a spin here. Listen.
Boom, 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 boom. Jumpy tree, go the birds in the tree. Oh, oh, what happened to me? Gee, I must be falling in love. Come on, you guys and gals, gather round. I'm gonna tell you what I found. I found that I'm falling in love.
So you see that that really sounds like kind of like a washed out. They really brought it out front and they made it sound a lot better, but they edited the beginning and they edited the end of it. But anyway, that's the original, but you just heard the 1958. That's the original from 56. You just heard the October 58 release. That really went nowhere for the DuPonts, unfortunately, but they were still going strong on N Records with George Goldner and Richard Barrett producing all those cool sounds for the Imperials. Anyway, let's continue here. And this next 45 is for all the fathers out there. I know tomorrow's Father's Day, so I'm going to send this one out to all the fathers out there. I posted this one up on my Facebook wall. As we stay in Brooklyn, it's a girl group that you all know. They're known as the Cookies, and believe it or not, it's this Cookies group goes all the way back to 1954 as their first release came out on the Lamp label, but it's basically the same group that would have hits in the early 60s on Dimension, but there were some personnel changes along the way, but one member stayed with the group all along, that being Dorothy Jones. She remained with the group throughout, but they were signed to Atlantic Records at the time. They were touring with the Earl Carroll and the Cadillacs, but they left Atlantic, and Earl Carroll was instrumental with getting them to sign with Jerry Blaine's Josie label. The result was one single, and written by two of the gals of the group, Margie Hendricks and Ethel Darlene McCrae, and you'll hear the male voices in the background. Those are really Earl Carroll and the Cadillacs. Let's give it a spin. It goes out to all the daddies out there from July 1957, the Cookies on Josie. And the tune is called Hippy Dippy Daddy.
The words that you tell me
That's going out to all the hippy dippy daddies for Father's Day tomorrow. Those are the Cookies. July 1957 release, Jerry Blaine's Josie Records. Hippy Dippy Daddy is the name of the tune as we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. We count down the music chronologically here on the 50s and early 60s edition. This next group, they're from Greenburgh, New York, oh so close to where Johnny G lives, and they were singing in local clubs here locally. They met up with Lover Patterson. He was a jack of all trades on the New York music scene, and in the early 1950s, he helped them get a contract with Eddie Heller's Rainbow label, and they came up with this tune. It was written by group member James Bradham. It features Ray Roberts on lead. I posted this one up on my Facebook wall. You can check it out. It's on cool-looking red vinyl. We go to Rainbow Records, December 53. They're called the Swans. The tune is called My True Love.
Oh, when and where I'm wandering, my dear, if we shall ever meet again, till then I'll go on searching for you, darling, my true love, my true love. Till then, I'll go on searching for you, darling, my true love. Oh, my true love.
Early sides here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. That one there, December 53. They're called the Swans. It's on Eddie Heller's Rainbow record label. Cool red looking vinyl on that one. My True Love is the name of the tune, and it features Ray Roberts. He's the lead singer. They have another release on the Steamboat label from 56, and believe it or not, I went to a local garage sale, actually a couple houses down from where I live, behind here in the backyard, and I found a copy of that for 15 cents. You really can't go wrong with finding a record like that for 15 cents. Anyway, Jai G here for a Saturday evening. Hope you're digging on these tunes here. Let's stay in 53. It's the debut single for this group out of South Central Los Angeles. Included lead tenor Thurston Harris, first tenor Willie Ray Rockwell, baritone Alfred Frazier, and the bass, his name was Matthew Nelson, and they were known as the Lamplighters. It's a great two-sided 45. I'm featuring the jump side tonight, the first of 12 they recorded on Sid Nathan's Federal label. We go to August of 53, the Lamplighters on Federal, and their tune called Turn Me Loose.
Turn me loose, don't hold my hand. Turn me loose, Nobody that'll blood your eyes, turn me loose. I ain't your man. Well, turn me loose. Ain't no need crying. Oh, baby, I knew you were lying. Well, when you want a little money, you can be so sweet. Next thing I know, you're out in the streets, turn me loose. You know I ain't your man. Oh, you don't love me, baby. Please, baby. If you don't want me, baby, please. Oh, baby. Baby, please. Get your hands off that bread, baby. Oh, please. She don't love me. Oh, turn me loose. I'm on my way. Turn me loose. Ain't got a long stay. Oh, you coming high. Fumble around. Next thing you tell me you gotta go downtown. Turn me loose. 'Cause I ain't your man. Oh, baby, make her turn me loose. Oh, make her loose this bad good woman. She don't love me no more. No. I go out and work hard every day.
That's the debut single for the Lamplighters there. Thurston Harris on lead for that one. August 53, Turn Me Loose. It's on the Federal record label there. Can you imagine? Next I should play Fabian's version of Turn Me Loose. But anyway, Thurston Harris, he would split from the group in 1955, and the rest of the group, they would record as the Tenderfoots. Then in late 55, Harris reunited with the group, and they again switched back to the Lamplighters until March of 56 when they finally broke up. He finally left for good. Now the surviving members, they became the Sharps, who reunited with Thurston Harris, backing him up on his hit on Aladdin. I'm sure you know the tune, Little Bitty Pretty One. And then of course the Sharps, they transformed into the Rivingtons, recorded for the Liberty record label. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we move into 1954, and I featured the debut single last week by this Evanston, Illinois group. They were known as the Gems, and great tune. It was called Talk About the Weather, came out on the Drexel label. I also love the flip side, and it's a cover song that dates back to 1926, first done by Dan Pollock and his Californians, but so many have recorded this tune, so let's give a spin to this version by the Gems. It features Ray Pettis on lead. We go to June of 54, the Gems on Drexel with their rendition of the tune Deed I Do.
Do I, do I, do I, do I, do I want you? Oh my, do I, baby? Dear, I do I, do I, oh oh my, do I need you? Oh my, do I, baby? You know I do. You know I do. I'm glad that I'm the one who found you. That's why I'm always hanging round. Do I, oh my, do I need you? Oh my, do I, baby? You know I do.
That's Ray Pettis and the Gems there with a cover tune. Deed I Do is the name of the tune. It's on Drexel Records. And that's the first of 5 by the Gems on Drexel. My aunt used to play another version of that. The Cleftones do a version of that, Deed I Do. It's the flip side of their 1961 release on G. You know, for sentimental reasons, you flip it over. The Cleftones do an up-tempo version of that tune. I know because she used to play it quite a bit. John G here for a Saturday evening as we continue here. And I have a note on the Ustream broadcaster that I record the show. For those of you that go to the YouTube site, it will be ending. Their free basic program will be ending on August 1st. So they want you to pay a minimum of $99 a month to continue with the service, and that is not happening. So I'm looking at new ways of recording the show. So I know there's a lot of people, those of you that tune in to the show on YouTube, there's many of you, I know a lot of you overseas that tune in to watch the show, and others during the week, other collectors. So I got to come up with a new way. So I have a couple ideas. Some people made some suggestions. I got to find out which would be the best. Anyway, just letting you know in advance as we continue here on the Vinyltreasure Show. We just heard the Gems on Drexel. That was Drexel 901. Well, how about we play Drexel 902, which again features the Gems, but in a backup role they to this gal from Evanston, Illinois, the same place, and she was called, actually in the trade papers, Thrush Dorothy Logan, and she's doing a cover of a Buddy Johnson pen tune as we stay in the month and the year of June 1954 and give a listen to Dorothy Logan and the Gems on Drexel and her rendition of the tune Since I Fell for You. Wrong one.
Since I fell for
is a couple of standards there by the Gems. That one there, they're backing up Dorothy Logan, June 1954, Since I Fell for You. A cool tune there on the Drexel label as we continue here. And you can find some pretty cool info on the internet nowadays, like the session info on all of Herman Lubinsky's Savoy releases. And the session that resulted in the 45 that I'm about to play took place on November 10th, 1955. They recorded 8 sides that November day in the studio. And the musicians, all the musicians for all those 8 sides included Sam the Man Taylor on tenor sax, arranger and piano player Kelly Owens, Mickey Baker, he was on guitar, Leonard Gaskin, he was the bass, and Panama Francis, he played the drums. Now, first up in the session was Billy Nelson with the Five Wings. They did 4 tracks that day. One of them came out, 2 of those came out on 145. The other 2 were never released. And then 2 more tracks followed by a group from Knoxville. No, I lost my place. But I'm featuring the 2 more tracks that followed after that by a group from Knoxville, Tennessee. They were called the 5's, and their debut side, it was called Mr. Moon. They were supposed to record that, but they were waiting in the wings because they backed up another artist before they recorded that song. He was originally from Sioux City, Iowa. His name was Clarence Miller, and he recorded as Big Miller. So before the 5's sang their tune or recorded their song Mr. Moon, they backed up this artist, and it's the second of 2 he recorded on Savoy, and he wrote the song. We go to December of 55, give a listen to Big Miller with the 5's on Savoy. The tune is called All Is Well.
Love me, oh boy, am I glad. Well, now she's the sweetest woman that I ever had. Well, she told me this morning what I love to hear. Well, she told me this morning, yes, what I long to hear. Well, she said I'll never leave you, so don't have no fear. She said, don't worry, baby, everything's all right. Hey, hey, all is well. 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 I'm gonna jump for joy, 'cause I hear those wedding bells.
As a December 50, they recorded that November 10th, but it came out December 55. Big Miller with the 5 pennies, All Is Well is the name of the tune. It's on Savoy Records. That was Savoy, Savoy 1181. Now, Savoy 1182 was the very next release. That was the 5 pennies with Mr. Moon, because they were up next after that session. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. Was a beautiful day today, as I had to run a couple errands there, but came back to prepare the show and got some cool records like this next one here. I played the A side of this 45 on last week's show. It's on Leonard Allen's United label, as done by the Pastels. The Pastels out of Chicago. The song was called Boom Diddy Boom, but I really love the B-side. I love the B-side better, and it definitely defines the sound of Chicago. It features Fred Buckley on lead. This was released the same month and year as the Big Miller 45 you just heard. We go to December of 55, the Pastels on United, and I have the second press. It's called Put Your Arms Around Me.
I'm lost, for I cannot see. Won't you tell me that you love me, be an angel just for me. I'm lost, and I'm going insane. If you put your arms around me, then we'll walk through Lover's Lane. I'm lost, can't you see, baby, you're for me, can't you see, and in this heart, my dear, is a feeling and a reason for shedding tears. I'm lost for playing the game. If you put your arms around me, then we'll walk through Lover's Lane. Lost, and I'm going insane. If you put your arms around me, then we'll walk through Lover's Lane. Walk through Lover's Lane.
December 55 release there for the Pastels. Probably Lefty Bates and the orchestra, really. I don't know, maybe Al Smith, though. I think he was over at VJ Records at the time. But those are the Pastels, not the Been So Long Pastels. The Chicago group, the Pastels, on United Records, Put Your Arms Around Me. I'm still looking for the original copy of that with the long title. It's If You Put Your Arms Around Me. That's the first way, and then they repressed it without the if you. Anyway, Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. We move on here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. We go into 1956 now for this next 45. It's on Thomas Robinson's Atlas label. As we go to Brooklyn, New York now for this group, they have a total of 8 releases in all on Thomas Robinson's Atlas and the subsidiary Angletone Records. Now here's the B-side to their 4th on Atlas, co-written by the lead singer. His name is Gene Red. We go to May of 56, Atlas Records, the Phytones Quintet, and their tune called Silly and Sappy.
Sappy, because I really am happy. My baby's coming back, she's coming back to me. Well, till she comes back, I'll be a maniac. My heart will keep thumping and I'll keep a jumping. My knees keep a knocking and my toes keep a rocking. She's a coming back to me. Never again will I let her leave. She means too much to me. I'll always keep her by my side as long as we're alive. Well, till she comes back, I'll be a maniac. My heart will keep thumping and I'll keep a jumping. My knees keep a knocking and my toes keep a rocking. She's a coming back to me. She comes back, I'll be a maniac. My heart will keep a thumping and I'll keep a jumping. My knees keep a knocking and my toes keep a rocking. I hear bells ringing and I'll keep singing. She's coming back to me, coming back to me, coming back to me.
Oh, one more time.
Coming back to me.
Those are the Phytones Quintet, May 1956. That's their B-side to their 4th release on Atlas Records, Silly and Sappy. The A-side, I Belong to You. Of course, that'll be on next week. That's Gene Red. He's doing lead on that one. Now, this would be covered by another Atlas recording artist in January 1957, Vic Donna and the Parakeets. They do a nice version of that tune, Silly and Sappy. As we move on here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, now we go to another flip side. Now, last week, I played the second of 2 for this artist by the name of Billy Mann on Johnny Otis's Dig label out of Los Angeles, California. I played the A-side. It was called A Million Heartaches Ago, but I also liked the B-side equally as good, and there is an unnamed vocal group backing Billy Mann up on this one. It was written by Johnny Otis's wife, Phyllis Otis, along with Italian trumpeter Frank Gallo. We go to September 1956, Billy Mann on Dig, and his tune, it's called Just Like Before.
I've known of love before, 2 lips that I adore. I've known a warm embrace, caressed a tender face. Oh, my heart hurts like before, just like before. I've known a kiss before that made me yearn for more. I've known a small desire to start a raging fire. Oh, my heart like before. I know my heart is not a plaything, although it's treated like a toy. For once it was a young and gay thing, and not a plaything to be destroyed. I've known this secret before. My love would live evermore. My heart is broken, it's true. Life can't go on without you like before. What anymore? Just like before.
Just like before. Yes, Warren, have to agree with you. A really nice ballad there. Great two-sided 45 and a cheapie. A boy purchased it a long time ago. There was small quantity on that 45. Billy Mann there in group September 56. Just like before. Johnny Otis's Dig record label for that one. And Billy Mann, he would later become a member of the Electras, recorded on a couple different labels, Infinity and that red label, I forget the name of it, and also a member of the Delmars that recorded for ABC Paramount record label. Jai G here for a Saturday evening. We spin the 45s from 10 to midnight right here. Let's stay in Los Angeles, as this group was named after a missile that was developed by the U.S. Air Force. It was called the Titan missile, and the leader of the group, he was Larry Green. He was the base of the group. Originally, he's from Washington, D.C., and a former member of the Heartbreakers that recorded on RCA Records, but he formed this group in 1956, and he was already 30 years old in 1956, so he was not a teenager. He was up there in age by the time he recorded with this group. They signed with Larry Mead's Vita label, and this is the B-side to their debut single. It was written by their manager. His name is Cecil Count Carter, and it features Curtis McNair on lead. We go to January 1957. Give a listen to the Titans, Vita Records, and the tune is called Rhythm and Blues.
Snakes got a wiggle, so have you. Camel's got a hump with a lot of work to do. Venus had a shape that was out of this world. I got things to get all the girls that got the rhythm and blues. Yes, the rhythm and blues. Well, my feet's got the rhythm, my soul's got the rhythm and blues. Well, the cats in the jungle got a boom boom beat. The cats in the city got rhythm in their feet. Satchmo's got music in his soul. Brother Bean's got all the gold. I got the rhythm and blues. Yes, the rhythm and blues. Well, my feet's got the rhythm, my soul's got the rhythm and blues. Well, got a smile and you can see a mile. When she walks, everybody talks about the rhythm and blues. Yes, the rhythm and blues. Well, my feet's got the rhythm, my soul's
Jazz with Johnny G features here every Saturday night there. The Titans, Rhythm and Blues, the name of the tune, January 1957. First of two on the Vital label. It was with Jack Collier and the orchestra. And that is a cool tune. That's the B-side, though. We'll flip the A-side over for for next week's show. As we move on here on Vinyl Treasures, and last week's show I featured a group known as the Manhattans by request for George Tompkins on Bob Shadd's Warner record label. I played the A-side, a song entitled How Do You Say I'm Sorry? Well, George asked if I could flip it over and give a listen to the B-side, and we do that here on the Vinyl Treasure. So let's flip over Warner for Warner 1015, the tune written by Fred Johnson, who was the pianist in Larry Kirkland's orchestra, who I'm sure is backing up this group, the Manhattans. It's from November 57. We send it out to George Tompkins, the Manhattans on Warner. It's called Love Is Where You Find It.
Love is where you find it. Love is where you see. Time is not important. Any day or week. I saw you, then I knew. Love is where you find it. I had lots of girlfriends, they all broke my heart. Then I prayed to heaven for just one more star. On Monday was the day. Love is where you find it. In a garden filled with honeysuckles, that's where I found my love. When I look, my knees begin to buckle, because this thrill was new. Now I'm so happy, haven't got a care. Got my love beside me, won't have to search nowhere. I'm happy, I'm so free. Love is where you find it. I'm happy, I'm so free. Love is where you find it. Love is where you find it.
Yeah, by request for George Tompkins. That's a great B-side there. Great two-sided 45. Those are the Manhattans' November 1957 release. It's on Bob Shadd's Warner record label out of New York City. Love is where you find it. That is for sure as we continue here. And I have an EP cut here. I'm trying to line it up right here. The grooves are so, I should be using my headphones. They don't work, so I can't listen to line it up correctly, but I hope I did it right. But it's an EP cut by Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. Now, they had an LP that came out on G Records in December of 56. It was called The Teenagers, and it featured two cuts to never come out on a legitimate 45 in the 1950s. In those two songs, it was Love is a Clown and Am I Just Fooling Myself Again? The only way that you could hear those songs at the time was on that 1956 album, or Goldner would re-release or again release them on two EPs that came out by the Teenagers. And they did two EPs, and the first was called The Teenagers Go Rockin', and I forget, I think the other one, it was called something about ballads or slow songs or something that had some pretty good songs on it. But I have this one, which are all up tempos on this one. I think it's what is it? It's I Want You to Be My Girl, Teenage Love, and I forget the other one. But we're going to hear one of those two that never came out on a 45. It came out on a bootleg 45. It was G number 1035. I don't know if Ferdy says it's an actual release. I've never seen it. I don't know, maybe somebody out there has a red label G, but I've never seen it. It's supposedly documented in his guide there as a number. I don't know. I don't believe it. But anyway, we're going to give it a spin here. It gives writer credit to Grace Goldner, and I was trying, that has to be Goldner's wife, or he's just using that as an alias for himself, which is possible, but probably his wife. This song recorded February 4th, 1956. I think this EP, it came out January of 57, so let's give it a spin here. It's from the Teenagers Go Rockin' on the G label, of course. Frankie Lyman, he's on lead. Jimmy Wright in the orchestra also, you'll hear. But it's their tune called Love is a Clown. EPs here on the Vinyltreasure Show. Those are the Teenagers Go Rockin'. That's off their first EP. I think it's, 6901? What number is it? It's 601, I think it is. Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers, January 57 release, although they recorded it February 4th, 1956. Now, they said Goldner he felt that cut didn't have enough I don't know, excitement, whatever, to put out on a 45, so he put it out on the LP and then on the EP there. But anyway, it's on the GEP that I featured it off of. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we continue here. We are in the year 1957. Now, speaking of George Goldner, here's the B-side to one of his 45s I featured last week on the Black End label. I played the A-side by this Philadelphia PA group. They were called Ronnie Jones and the Classmates. I featured the cool rocker side. It was called Teenage Rock. Let's give a spin to the B-side of the 45. Again, co-written by the lead singer. His name is Ronnie Jones. It's from August 57, End Records. It's called Little Girl Next Door. That's the first of two for Ronnie Jones and the Classmates. That's the B-side of the 45, Little Girl Next Door. August 1957, came out on George Goldner's End label. Originals have to be that black label and silver print. As we move on here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, now in October of 1957, Little Richard embarked on a tour to Australia with Gene Vincent and Eddie Cochran. Now, during the middle of that tour, he shocked the public by announcing his decision to follow a life of ministry. He said, that's it, no more rock and roll, I'm ending it, right in the middle of that tour. Now, Grady Gaines, he was the saxophonist for his band. He said, we need somebody to come in and fill in for him. Who are we going to get? Who could we possibly get? So they approached D. Clark. Now, D. Clark, who at the time, he'd left the Cool Gents, I think a few months earlier, for a solo career, and he ended up filling in the remaining tour dates for Little Richard. Now, in turn, they would be his backing band for, I think, a couple of his releases. And he agreed. D. Clark agreed to that. So D. Clark's third solo release release that came out on the Falcon label. It includes Little Richard's backup band. It actually says it on the label. The original Little Richard band is backing up Dee Clark, and on it's his third release, and it's a song he wrote. We go to February 58. It's on the Falcon label. This is Dee Clark and the original Little Richard band. I think they were called the Upsetters, and the tune is called "Oh Little Girl." Grainy 45s here for a Saturday evening, trying to sound so much like Little Richard there. That's Dee Clark there in the original Little Richard band, February 1958 release. That's the third of 8 releases on Falcon/Abner Records, because there was some litigation against Falcon. They had to change their name to Abner. That there, Mr. Dee Clark, he wrote the tune. "Oh Little Girl" is the name of the tune. Grady Gaines, he was the guitarist on that. He was the lead guitarist on the Upsetters. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we continue. Let's stay on the Falcon label too. Now it's a flip of a 45 I played last week. I featured the first of 2 by this group out of Clarksburg, West Virginia. They were called the Prodigals. The A-side was called Marsha. Now the B-side is yet another gal's name. Was written by the lead singer. His name is Chuck Collins. We go to January 58. The Prodigals on Falcon. We send this out to all the Judies out there. A song entitled Judy.
Thinking of
love me, Judy, we will never part, and you will never ever break my heart. But Judy, you lied to me. I was a fool right from the start. Dearest darling me, how I love you. Dearest darling, why couldn't you be true? Why did you leave me, dearest darling me, alone and feel blue? You know I love you, Judy, why not love me? Give me a chance, my dear, I'm living misery. As Judy, I love you, darling dear, I really love you. I really love you. I really love you.
See, some of those VJs and Falcons, they use recycled vinyl. They're really they look like, you know what it looks like if you look in the dead wax? It looks like somebody got a Brillo pad and just scratched the records with it. Sincerely, they do, but some of them play better. Actually, the promos do play so much better than, because I have that on a promo too, plays Stone Mint, but that was a stock copy. I played the Prodigals there. Chuck Collins, he's the lead singer, January 1958. That is the B-side to Marcia, song entitled Judy, Falcon Records, as I mentioned. Let's move on here on Vinyl Treasures. Now, this next singer, he hails from Passaic, New Jersey. He would score his biggest hit. I'm sure you all know his biggest hit on Roulette Records from 1961. A big dance craze originating at the Peppermint Lounge in New York City, and it was a big #1 hit called The Peppermint Twist for Joey D and the Starlighters. But Joey, whose real name is Joseph Di Nicola, his first 45 came out back in 1958. I posted it up on my Facebook wall, and it came out on the Little label, and I'm featuring the intended B-side of this 45, and it's a song he wrote. Now, his backup group, it mentions on the label, are the Starlighters, but they were really the Catalinas, who also recorded for the Little label. So let's go to 1958 on the Little label. It's pretty hard on this label. I guess this one plays okay. Could have been a little bit better, but anyway, it's Joey D and the Starlighters. It's his first record, but this is the B-side. It's the up-tempo side. Give it a listen here. It's called The Girl I Walked to School.
The girl I walk to school, I'm never ever late. The girl I walk to school, she's the girl in my dream. When we get to class, I hate to say goodbye. How long will the day last? Until she's by my side. The girl I walk to school, she's the girl in my dream. By my side, the girl I walk to school, When the last bell rings, I take her by her hand and walk down the street. We're in our wonderland, the girl I walk to school. She's the girl in my dreams.
That's the debut single for Joey D. Nicola, a.k.a. Joey D. and the Starlighters, 1958. That's the B-side, The Girl I Walked to School. Originally came out on the Little label. The song reissued on the Bonus label. It's like a budget label. You can get that record much cheaply, I think for like $20 or so, I think, but original pretty rare to find on the a Little record label. Flip side's a great ballad, a song entitled Lorraine. That's going to be on next Saturday night. As we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, we are in the year 1958, and I opened up last week's Vinyl Treasure Show with the A side of this 45. Came out on Buddy Caldwell's Len label out of Philadelphia. The group on the label out of Philly, they were called the Marquis. The A side was called Say Hey. We're going to flip it over for the ballad as we stay in 58. These are the Marquis on Len. It's called I'm in Misery. Record. That's a cool tune there. The group called the Marquis, 1958 release. The tune is called I'm in Misery. Buddy Caldwell's Len record label. One of my early purchases from Bob Ellis. I know some of you collectors out there know the Count. I mean, I'm not doing too well health-wise nowadays, but he was definitely a tough cookie to crack for sure, buying 45s, and they were all in wretched shape, so bad the conditions millions of his records, and he wanted top dollar. I said, Count, I says, you can't charge top dollar for these VG minus and G plus 45s. Who's going to buy from you? You want to sell them, they would be like 10% of the book value, then you're going to sell the records. He was like, no, I'm not. I need to get top dollar. I said, okay, they're going to sit there forever. Johnny G babbling on here for a Saturday evening as we continue. Now, I played a cover of this next tune a number of months ago, as done by the Dan Lears on Mercury, but this was the original version of the tune as we go to MGM Records. My copy is out of the radio library of WPEP. They were out of Taunton, Massachusetts. Was able to get a ton of their records from some of the dealers that showed up at one of the Waterbury, Connecticut shows that I attended way back in the mid-'80s. But I can't find any info about this group. They're called the Elgins as we go to June of 1958. This one under the direction of Stanley Applebaum. The Elgins on MGM, and this is the original version of a song entitled A Picture of You.
I'm holding in my hand a picture of you, but I just can't understand why you said we are through. But as I gaze at your face, my heart beats tenderly. I want you to love me as I love you. Then I try to understand why you said we are through. But as I gaze at your face, my heart beats tenderly. Well, you told me how you loved me, and our love will always be. Then you went and left me for somebody new. Oh, you know that I want you to love me as I love you. Then I try to understand why you said we are through. But as I gaze at your face, my heart beats tenderly.
Well, baby, now my
heart beats so tenderly.
That's the original version of A Picture of You. Those are the Elgins. The Elgins, June 1958, release on the MGM record banner. I love that tune, always did. Flipside's good too. Mademoiselle will get that one on next week's Vinyltreasure show. As we continue here, we go back to Brooklyn, New York, as I featured the up-tempo B-side of this 45. Came out on the R&M label. It's out of East Meadow, New York. Now, the tune was called Darling, I Really Love You, as done by a group. They're called the Markels, Markels. So let's give a listen to the intended A-side. It features Frank Tisseriri. There you go. Frank Tisseriri on lead. It's with Bob Braven's orchestra. This one released in October of 58, the Markels. It's R&M Records. The tune is called The Letter of Love.
Do, do, do.
This is my letter so very long since I've held you in my arms, held you in my arms. The tears in my eyes, they make me realize my love for you just starts to grow and grow. But no one really knows, no one really knows.
Well, I am waiting, 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 waiting. Oh, well, I am hoping, 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 hoping. Well, I am praying, 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 praying. Oh, you think I'll be
Best wishes to you. I'm closing this letter for you. Just praying, darling, that you write real soon. Just saying I love you.
Sounds of 1958 here on the Vinyltreasure Show. The Markells is the name of the group. It's on the R&M record label. It's called The Letter of Love. It came out in October of 58. I remember bought that 45 from Chris Ciccone. I hope he's doing well over there in Long Island. If I'm going to see Chris, it's going to be at the Allentown Record Show coming up in the fall, which I do want to attend. I really do want to go to that show. I'm going to have to give up the show for a Saturday or going to play an encore show, but I do want to get to that Allentown show. Anyway, as we continue here, let's move into 1959. We head back to the Windy City of Chicago for this not so easy to find 45. It's on James P. Johnson's Marvello label, and I'm featuring the intended A-side of this 45. I don't know anything about the group. They're called the Populaires. The Populaires. It's from 1959, Marvello Records, and I really like this tune. It's called I Lost My Heart.
That day when you were all so
Sounds of 1959 here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. They're called it's on the Marvello label. They're called the Populaires. The Populaires, I Lost My Heart is the name of the tune. I think Melvin Mason, he was a member of that group, and he was also a member of the Marvellos on the Chicago the Marvellos out of Chicago on the ABC Paramount record label. I think he went on from that group onto the Marvellos as Johnny G loses his mind here as we continue here now. The next 245s are flip sides from last week's Vinyl Treasure Show as we head to the Bronx, New York for the first one for this interracial quintet, and how they all attended DeWitt Clinton High School. Now, Don Roby, owner of Peacock Records, he had a satellite office on 49th Street here in New York City, and talent scouts for Peacock Records discovered this group, which resulted in 2 singles that came out on the Backbeat label out of Houston, Texas. And Tell Me Why, of course, was their first. Dance Girl Dance was their second. They both got or Tell Me Why got really a lot of airplay here on the East Coast, and so did their other tune. But they eventually moved to Capitol Records, and hopefully they felt dealing with a major label they might have more success, but with the proper promotion. But it never happened because Capitol never really promoted this record for them. And I featured the intended A-side. I thought that this side was the A-side. It was not. The side I played last week, Dream Girl, that was the A-side. So we're going to flip it over because I do like both sides of the 45. It's kind of like a corny record, but I do like it. I don't know what it is. I do like this B-side. It's with Sid Bass and the orchestra, and produced by Manny Callum. This one written by the lead singer, of course, that being Norman Fox. These are Norman Fox and the Rob Roys. We go to January 1959. It's their final release, our final actual release on Capitol Records. Norman Fox and the Rob Roys with something that Johnny G hasn't had in a while, a song entitled Pizza Pie.
Well, we were standing on the sidewalk, just admiring the view, and we thought that we would go downtown and find something to do. And we saw this place upon the corner, and it looked real swell. So we opened the door and we went inside. This is what we yell now: pizza. Hey, pizza. Well, I got a chick I really dig. I'm gonna love her all of my life. I'm gonna take her home and marry her and keep her for my wife. And when the people come and ask me the question, I'm gonna tell them why. Cause she stands in the kitchen and makes me one of those great big pizza pies. Now, pizza. Hey, pizza. Well, the time went by and we had some kids, and they're the apple of my eye. And they're growing big and strong and tall, and their heads right up to the sky. Now some may wonder why they're so healthy. This is my reply: cause they've been born and bred and always fed on great big pizza pies. Now, pizza. Hey, pizza. Well, and how I'm getting old, hey brother, and I'm getting ready to die. But there's one request that I must make before I hit the sky. And that request is something no man in his right mind did not deny. Cause when they put me 6 feet under, I'm taking a great big pizza pie. Now, pizza. Hey, pizza pie. Hey, pizza pie.
That's Norman Fox and the Rob Roys there. That's their Capitol release. I have this on a yellow. Actually, I have 2 copies of this on the yellow promo. Norman Fox and the Rob Roys, January of 59. Pizza Pie on the Capitol label. The stock copies go for more money. I think they do. Anyway, Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we continue here. Let's go back to Thomas Robinson's Atlas label. Go back to Brooklyn, New York for this group. They're known as the Lincolns. I featured the A-side of this 45 last week. Pleasing You Pleases Me was the name of the tune, and it's their second for the label. Their first was on the sister label, Angletone Records. But let's flip it over, give a listen to the B-side to their second release. It's from November 58. The Lincolns on Atlas. It's called Don't Let Me Shed Any More Tears.
Don't let me shed any more tears.
Ever since we parted, dear, my eyes are filled with tears. Each day I sit and sigh. Whoa, yes, darling, for you I do cry. Don't let me shed any more. No, 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 don't let me cry anymore. I'm so awfully lonesome and blue, darling, just to dreaming of you. Somebody told you a story, one that you never should believe. I've never done you wrong. No, never done you wrong. Won't you listen to my plea?
Don't let me shed any more tears.
Don't let me shed any more tears.
B-sides here on the... Oh, is that the B-side there? That's the better side, I say. For the Lincolns on Thomas Robinson's Atlas record label, November 58 release, Don't Let Me Shed Any More Tears is the name of that one. If you heard, that was slightly off-center. I wanted to try to line it up a little bit. I hate records that are off-center. I definitely do. I would prefer a record with the labels reversed than a record that was off-center, believe me. But anyway, that's they also had releases on the Bud and the Aljon record label as we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show for a Saturday evening. This next singer, he's from Harlem, New York, began recording on George Goldner's Gone record label, had two releases starting in 1958. Then he signed with Decca Records, put out 6 more 45s. Here is his third, this one written by Luther Dixon, John Berry, and Don Covey. There's an unnamed vocal group, but I think in circles they're known as the Crystals. This one from August of 59, Decca Records. Give a listen to Sam Hawkins and his tune called Let Me Dream.
I can't wait until the hour rolls by to let the Sandman sprinkle dust in my eyes so I can dream. Yeah, let me dream. Oh, that I'm kissing you. Don't shake me, please. Just let me sleep. I don't wanna wake up. Just let me be. dream. Oh, let me dream that I'm loving you. If it's not true that I'm here with you, baby, then let me dream on and on. If I can keep you as close as you are, then I won't have to worry or wish on a star. Oh, it doesn't matter if the world goes by. I won't care if the earth's on fire. Just let me dream. Oh, let me dream that I'm loving you. Doesn't matter if the world goes by. I won't care if the earth's on fire. Just let me dream. Oh, let me dream that I'm loving you. I wanna dream. Oh yeah, I wanna dream. Oh, let me dream. Kissing you. I wanna dream. I wanna dream. Please let me dream.
That's the third of six for Mr. Sam Hawkins on the Decca record banner. Their August 1959 release, Let Me Dream, is the name of the tune. And other releases on other labels, Arnold and Shell, Blue Cat, and Epic Records. As we move on here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Now, on last week's show, I featured a rare 45 out of Columbus, Ohio. It's on the Daycell label. It was a label owned by Dom Soriano and Dave Siegel. They also produced the 45. It's on the side that I played was called Ecstasy, and that was the intended A-side. Let's give a listen to the B-side here. As I posted this one up on my Facebook wall, you can check it out. We're going to send it out to Mr. George Tompkins. He also likes this side here. It's with the Gene Joseph Trio. February 59, they're called the Marquis. They are out of Columbus, Ohio, and the tune is called Close to Me.
I want you close to me and by me constantly. Then when life seems empty, I'll know that you're close to me. I need your warm embrace, the smile upon your face, oh, the wondrous things I see when you're close to me. Each day can be so thrilling. That is when you're in love. And if the Lord is willing, I'll always, always be with you, my love. I want you close to me. Constantly, then when life seems empty, I'll know that you're close to me.
B-sides here on the Vinyl Treasure Shows. Johnny G gets caught. The Marquis there, February 1959, going out to George Tompkins. Close to Me is the name of the tune, the flip side of Ecstasy. Great two-sided 45 and rare on the Daysell record label. Now, how about another group known or called the Marquis? Now, there is a Marquis group. They're from Washington, D.C. that recorded on the OK record label. That group included Marvin Gaye, by the way, backed up Billy Stewart on Baby You're My Only Love. And but I'm featuring this Marquis group. They're out of California. Their first releases came out on the Warner Brothers record label. They did 3 on Warner Brothers. Then the group did 2 on the Joanne label out of California. And here is the A-side to their first release, co-written by Andy Fisher, who I think is the lead singer on this. It's along with the Roscoe Weathers Orchestra. This, as I mentioned, the intended A-side, October 1960. The Marquis on Joanne. The tune is called That's the Way I Feel. We'll send that record out to Bopper Boy Warren. He likes that record a whole bunch. So does Johnny G. Did you hear that cowbell in there? I was listening to, I think it was 50's on 5. Was it? They had Ricky Nelson's sons on there for something. They were playing records for Father's Day, and they played. Was it Hello? No, was it Hello? Was one of his records Traveling Man or Hello Mary Lou or something? They said this is the first record that had cowbell in it. I said I don't think that's the case, because there was one in that record, and I think this record was before that. Traveling Man, or was one of the records where there were no drums in it. It was interesting. It was an interesting show. It was, but that one there by the Marquis, October 1960s on the Joanne record label. The song is entitled "That's the Way I Feel. That's the A-side. Now, if you look on the label there, you'll see a Charlie as the publisher. It's possible that the recordings may have been first cut for Charlie Williams. He was a producer and actually a label owner of Charlie Records. Anyway, that's a cool tune. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. We are in the early 60s now. On last week's Vinyl Treasure show, I featured a group known as the Premiers. They're from Los Angeles. I played them on Johnny Otis's Dig label. Their second release on Dig was called My Darling. It featured the lead of Sammy Yates, so I have another Sammy Yates 45. This one by request for George Tompkins, but he goes by the name of Little Sammy on this one. Came out on the Shade label. It's a song he wrote. This by request for George Tompkins. We'll go to July 1960, Shade Records, Little Sammy with his tune. It's called Can You Love Me?
Same way as I love you. I love you. I've looked all over for someone that is true, gentle too. And can you love me? Can you love me just the way I love you? You understand my every need. You understand my every plea. True love, I know that you would be. Take me out of this misery. I've looked all over for someone that is true, gentle too. Can you love me just the way I love you? Oh, can you love me? Can you love me?
Yes, Warren, you are correct. This is an expensive 45. It would cost you. Is Little Sammy Yates is his name, July 1960 release. Shade Records out of California. It's called Can You Love Me? We'll send that one out to George Tompkins now. He also recorded as Sammy Hagen and the Viscounts on Capitol Records and also as Count Yates on the Regus label. Unfortunately, that we lost Sammy Yates on April 2016 is when we lost Sammy Yates, as we remember here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. As we continue for some more here, let's flip over another 45 from last week. I featured a group called The Big Five. They were out of Cleveland, Ohio on Bob Shad's Shad record label. I played the intended A-side, a song entitled Blue Eyes. So let's flip the 45 over. We'll send it out to Bopper Boy Warren for the song written by Mickey Baker of Mickey and Sylvia fame and Lee Greenlee. It features Harvey Hall. He's on lead. This one from June of 1960. It's a B-side for the Big Five on Shad. It's called Stardust in Her Eyes.
one but you.
To me, you're a blessing that's sent from above, who's come only for me to love. So, darling, take this heart I offer you, and remember I'll still be true.
No one but you. No one but you.
Oh, I love you.
I love you.
Stardust in your eyes.
B-sides here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Those are the Big Five, June 1960 release. It's called Stardust in Her Eyes. Bob Shad's Shad record label. That is the flip side to Blue Eyes, a group out of Cleveland, Ohio. Harvey Hall, he's the lead singer. We continue here. We got 3 minutes to go before Vinyl Treasure overtime, and we move into 1961 now with a group out of Philadelphia. It's on the Segway label. Now, this label included, they basically had one major hit in a 1961 by a group called The Echoes. You may know their tune, a song entitled Baby Blue. That probably was the biggest hit for the label, but this one definitely not a hit. Features a bass lead. This one arranged and conducted by Johnny Madera and David White. It's from May of 61, Segway Records. These are the High Tones, and the tune is called Sure as the Flowers.
Sure as a flower bloom in the spring, sure as the bird come out to sing, you belong to me. This everyone can see.
Everyone can see.
Well. You know love is so fine. You can find it even if you're blind. You belong to me. This everyone can see.
Everyone can see.
Darling, the time have gone past in my life. And as I sit here, darling, with my heart linked with the memories of you, I sometimes, yes, sometimes wonder, darling. Yes, darling, as my mind wanders farther into space, I sometimes feel like crying, darling, and wonder why the flowers bloom in the spring. Well. No love is so fine. You can find it even if you're blind. You belong to me. This everyone can see.
Everyone can see.
May 61 release there. They're called the High Tones. And that record, arranged and conducted by Johnny Madera, David White, Segway Records for that one. Sure as the Flowers. Sure as Johnny G features original vinyl every Saturday from 10 to midnight right here on Top Shelf Oldies. We are in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. Featured the Marcells out of Pittsburgh, PA on last week's show. Played the B-side of their 6th of 13 releases on the Colpix label. Very cool song entitled Really Need Your Love. As we flip that 45 over and give a spin to the intended A-side of a 45, it charted nationally number 67 on Cashbox, number 58 on Billboard. This was a 45 my aunt purchased back in the early part of 1962. It was released in December of 61. It features Cornelius Harp on lead from December 61 on Colpix, the Marcells, with their rendition of the tune My Melancholy Baby.
Nah, not that thing again. Sing Melancholy Baby. All right, we will.
Melancholy baby.
Come to me, my melancholy baby. Come to me, my melancholy baby. Come to me, my melancholy baby.
Baby.
Come to me, my melancholy baby.
Come to me, my melancholy baby.
Cuddle up and don't
Oh yeah,
be blue.
come to me, my melancholy baby.
All your fears are foolish fancies, maybe. You know, dear, that I'm in love with you.
Baby.
Every cloud must have a silver lining.
Come to me, my melancholy baby.
Wait until the sun
Oh yeah,
shines through.
come to me, my melancholy baby.
Swear my honey dear, when I kiss the waves dear, or else I shall be melancholy too.
Gee, that's pretty. Sing it again.
Well, all right.
Come to me,
Come to
my
me,
melancholy baby.
my melancholy baby.
My melancholy baby.
Why don't you cuddle up and don't be
Come to
blue?
me, my melancholy
Oh
baby.
yeah, swear my honey dear, when I kiss the waves dear, or else I may be melancholy too.
Melancholy baby.
Come to me, my melancholy baby. Come to me, my melancholy baby. Come to me, my melancholy baby.
Baby.
Come to me, my melancholy baby. Come to me.
That's a 6 of 13 for the Marcells on the Colpix record label. Cornelius Harp, he's the lead singer. December 61 release, My Melancholy Baby is the name of the tune. As we continue here, we are in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. Let's stay in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, this time for a single artist whose real name is Bernard Dupree, but his alias is Cletus Marland. I featured the B-side to his Roulette 45. It was called Like I Never Felt Before. So let's give a spin to the intended A-side. It's with Jimmy Interval and the Nightcaps. They're providing the instrumentation. We go to September of 61. Cletus Marland, Roulette Records. It's called I'll Take Care of You.
Give me your heart, give me your soul, give me your love to have and to hold. I'll take care, my love, of you. You don't have to worry.
clouds look so gray, I'm gonna be with you both the night and day. I'll take care, my love of you. We wanna care what our friends may say, and we won't care what they may do, for there'll be no one but only you and me, and we're gonna love and love until the day that we die. Come on close to me, that's right, I want you to hold my hand. I want you to say that you care and that you do understand. I'll take care, my love of you.
That's a cool 45 there for Cletus Marlin and a group there. September 1961, Morris Levy's Roulette Records for that one. I'll Take Care of You. Johnny G takes care of you Saturday evenings from 10 to midnight right here on Top Shelf Oldies. Let's continue. And here's a group out of Philadelphia, PA, that they had a lot of releases, but really only one national hit that made it to the national survey, that being the Hot 100, was number 32 on Cashbox. Number 22 on Billboard, a song entitled Peanuts. You know that tune back in 1957, but let's move up to March of 61 for a cover song. It features Little Joe Cook on lead, but we know him just as Little Joe. This one from March of 61, 20th Century Records, Little Joe and the Thrillers, and their rendition of the tune I Love You for Sentimental Reasons.
Zing, zing, bang, bang, walla, 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 bing, bang, bang, bang. Yeah, pong, yeah, pong. Zing, zing, bang, bang, walla, 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 bing, bang.
I love you for sentimental reasons. I hope you do believe me. I give you my heart.
Zing, bang, bang, walla, 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 bing.
I love you, and you alone were meant for me. Please give your loving heart to me, and say we'll never part.
Zing, bang, bang, walla, 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 bing, bang, bang.
I think of you every morning, and I dream of you every night. Darling, I'm never lonely whenever you are inside. I love you, and you alone were meant for me. Please give your loving heart to me, and say we never part.
Zing, bang, bang, walla, 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 bing, bang, bing, bang. Yeah, bong, yeah, bong. Yeah, bong. Zing, zing, bang, bang, walla, 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 bing, bang, bang.
I think of you every morning, and I dream of you every night. Darling, I'm never lonely whenever you are in sight.
Zing, bang, bang, walla, 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 bing,
I
bang, bang.
love
Yeah,
you,
bang, yeah, bong.
and you alone were meant for me.
Yeah, bong.
Please give your loving heart to me, and say we never part.
Zing, bang, bang, walla, 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 bing, bang, bang, bang. Zing, yeah, bong.
Cover tunes here on the Vinyl Treasure Overtime March 61 release for Little Joe and the Thrillers on the 20th Century label, and their rendition of I Love You for Sentimental Reasons. Unfortunately, we lost Joe Cook on April 15, 2014, passed away from cancer at the age of 91. As we move on here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime, and featured the A-side of this 45 on last week's Vinyl Treasure show. It's on the Sarah label. It's out of Sauk City, Wisconsin, by a group known as the Twilighters. The side was called Can't You Stay a Little Longer. Let's give a spin to the B-side of the 45. Supposedly only 500 copies of this 45 were pressed, according to Gary E. Myers, who researched it and knows he is the aficionado when it comes to groups out of the state of Wisconsin. We go to July of 61, the Twilighters on Sarah, and their tune called Restless Love.
I have traveled walking from city to town. Restless love inside of me. Let me settle down. I've been east, I've been west, but my mind won't let me rest until I get my restless love into your heart. Just a restless love, searching for a restless heart. Well, I have traveled widely from city to town. Restless love inside of me won't let me settle down. See many faces from beggars to kings, many places, and try a million things. I've been north, I've been south, asking folks by word of mouth to help me get my restless love into your heart. Well, darling, say you love me just like I love you. Just keep thinking of me, and my search will soon be through. Then I'll be yours, you'll be mine. I'll be on the end of time if you will let my restless love into your heart. Just a restless love, searching for a restless heart.
They're called the Twilighters, July 61 release on the Sarah label out of Sauk City, Wisconsin, song entitled Restless Love. Johnny G getting restless here every Saturday from 10 to midnight as we continue here. Played the rarest 45 by this Atlanta, Georgia group on the TPE label, their third of 4 from 62. It was called That's All Right. That was the intended A-side. Let's flip it over, give a listen to the B-side, which written by Levi Moon. He wrote all this group's songs, at least on the TPE label, and this one from July of 62. They're known as the Invictors. It's on the TPE label. It's called Where All Lovers Meet.
I love you, dearest one. Please say that you love me too. Let's go to dreamland tonight, where all true lovers meet. I need you, dearest one.
Please let our love last, and we'll be happy together until the end of time. I've searched and I've searched, but I couldn't find no other love compared with our love. And darling, if you'll come back to me, then I won't have to search anymore. I love you, dearest one. Please say that you love me too. Let's go to dreamland tonight, where all true love loves me.
That's the third of four for the Invictors on the TPE record label, July 1962 release, Where All Lovers Meet. That's here on Top Shelf Oldies at 10 p.m. from 10 to midnight right here. Johnny G doing some Vinyl Treasure overtime. Let's continue here. The next two 45s I'm playing were released in the same month and year, that being March 1962. Now, the first one we're playing is on the Ascot label. It's a 45 I paid a nickel for. Would you pay a nickel for this 45? You're going to give it a listen here. Now, it's the third overall release on the Ascot label. It's Ascot number 2102. And seems to be written, the writers are Fred Paris and Sam Goldman, and it's with the Bobby Edwards Band. This artist goes by the name of Horace Little, as Johnny G's getting hoarse. Horace Little. It's from March 62, Ascot Records. The name of the tune is called 500 Years.
Sit all alone and broken hearted ever since the moment that we parted. Now I know there could never be another love for me, and it seems we kissed 500 years ago. What a thrill. I can still recall the night when we sit on a hill and watch the light dim of a town where we settle down and live our life together. And it seems our dream was 500 years ago. But I'll keep hoping for your love. I'll keep on wishing till the stars fall from the sky above. Out of sight, out of mind, an old saying. If it's true, then
Let's send that one out to Lady Linda, currently in the Top Shelf Foldies chat room. 500 years. Linda, maybe you can relate to 500 miles when you will do that soon. But anyway, that's Horace Little, an unknown group there. Is that worth 5 cents? When I first started collecting, I saw that record. I said, I gotta pick this up. This one looks interesting. March 62, Horace Little on Ascot. 500 Years is the name of the tune as we wind down here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. This next group, they formed in Louisville, Kentucky at Eastern State University back in 1961. And here's the A-side to their debut single on the Queen label. It's a subsidiary of King Records. It's written by the lead singer. His name is Chuck Campbell. We go to March of 62. They're called the Maroons. The Maroons on Queen, and the tune is called Don't Leave Me, Baby, Don't.
Oh, listen to me, girl, now don't leave me. No, don't leave me. Oh, never before has anyone else ever loved like I love you. So come on back, oh, to me, yeah, come on back, oh, to me, oh, never before has anyone else ever loved like I love you. Oh, listen to me, girl, now don't leave me. No, don't leave me. Oh, never before has anyone else ever loved like I love you. So come on back, oh, to me, yeah, come on back, oh, to me, oh, come on back, oh, to me, oh, come on back, to me, oh, come on back, oh, to me.
Sounds of 62 here on the Vinyl Treasure overtime portion of the show. They're called the Maroons. The Maroons from March 62, Queen Records, subsidiary of King Records. Don't Leave Me, Baby, Don't. They would have one more release in 64 on the Jimco record label. Let's flip over another 45 from last week for this girl group on the Warner Brothers label. They were known as the Pearls. I played the B-side of their 45. It was called Happy Over You. But this was the A-side. This one again arranged by Bert Keys. Stan Applebaum is on this one. Played him on another record. Was that the Norman Fox record? Anyways, from August of 62, these are the Pearls on Warner Brothers with If I Had a Choice.
I need love, oh yes I do. If you were alone, wouldn't you? If I had a choice,
That's a nice ballad there for the Pearls. August 1962, If I Had a Choice. That's the A side of the 45. Came out on the Warner Brothers record label. Let's go with a little bit more. Here we head to Detroit, Michigan for this next group. They had this lone release on Preston Karn's Astra label. Now, this 45, believe it or not, came out in 1965, but it really sounds much earlier than a 1965 release. This record received a lot of airplay in the Pittsburgh, PA area. They actually reissued it on the same label, and they put Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania as the home state, but it was really out of Detroit. But the group is out of Detroit. Great two-sided 45, by the way. We go to 65 for this group called the Aquanites. This is on the Astra label. This is the first press on the orange label. It mentions Detroit, Michigan on the logo. The Aquanites with their tune called Christie.
I love you, Christy girl. I love you, Christy. I love you so. I never let you go. I love you, Christy. I love you always. I want you, Christy, for the rest of our days. I love you, Christy. I love you, dear. I want you, Christy. I want you to hear. I love you, Christy. I love you so. I never let you go. Let you
go. 1965 release there. Though it sounds earlier than that, I say. Those are the Aquanites. Aquanites on the Astra record label out of Detroit, Michigan. Their tune called Christie. The flip side's a great ballad. You're going to hear that one on next week's show. Well, that's going to do it for Johnny G and the Vinyl Treasure Show. Want to thank you for joining Johnny G, listening to original vinyl 45s out of my collection. You want to get in touch with Johnny G, send me an email at vinyltreasures@aol.com. Been recording this one on the Ustream broadcaster. Only going to be able to do it not even until... I think they're closing shop. At least the free basic program is August 1st, so still got a few more shows to go, so I got to check out. I'm getting a new hard drive on Tuesday, so that's totally going to mess up my PC. So I'm going to have to restore everything that I backed up, and hopefully I'll be okay. Might have to check in with Hi-Fi Tim a little bit to get everything back. But recording this one, I'm going to get it up on my YouTube website. website. Also, you can go to vinyltreasures.net as I am posting the shows there for stream or download. And you can email me at vinyltreasures@aol.com for requests or comments of the show or suggestions. Those of you that have a webcam, North Dakota Bobby told me about YouTube. You can actually record it yourself. There's a couple other ones. I think I asked some people on Facebook last week, and I do have Charlene sent me some links. I'm going to check those out too. But anyway, we're going to close the show tonight from July of 62. This female singer, she was previously the lead of a vocal group called the Fairlanes. They have a rare 45 that came out on the Continental label in 61. It was a cool tune. It's called Writing This Letter, but she went solo in 1962, and I'm going to feature her debut single on Lee Hazelwood's Eden label. It's a song she wrote. This record charted regionally, a big number 4 on WSPR out of Springfield, Massachusetts. It's the first of 2 for Miss Ramona King from July 62. Ramona King on Eden Records. The song is called Oriental Garden. That's going to do it, folks. Hope you enjoyed all the cool tunes I featured tonight. Tune in tomorrow evening for my buddy, Mr. Dave the Raven, his Relics and Rarities show. It all begins here on Top Shelf Oldies starting at 9 p.m., 9 to midnight right here. And that's going to do it, folks. Want to everybody, all you fathers out there, happy Father's Day. It officially is Father's Day, 34 minutes into Father's Day, so I want to be the first to wish you a happy Father's Day. And also for tomorrow, thank you, Charlene, for all your help. Short notice for that. I'll be back next Saturday from 10 to midnight for more original 50s and early 60s 45s out of my collection. Everybody have a safe and happy week, and I'll see you next Saturday starting at 10 p.m. Just want to say, everybody, so long.